Hey everybody, it's Rory from A&S Gear, and we're upstairs at the table like we normally do. We're gonna try something a little different though. We're gonna start putting out videos from my bench downstairs where I normally do all of my work and servicing guns. We're gonna start a line of videos that is going to help you become a more confident, better paintball player when it comes to managing your own gear. How to fix your guns, common problems that I see with equipment, how to fix tanks, loaders, all those things that we always get questions about. Hopefully these videos can help you solve your own problems and not be relying on someone else to do for you. So I'm trying to help you out, make you a more confident, better paintball player. So watch the videos. We're gonna upload all sorts of content. Thanks for watching, ansgear.com. All right, so we are at the bench again right now. We're looking at a BT Delta Elite. Customer sent this one in because they were having problems with paint breakage. A couple things about paint breakage. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into paint breakage, and rarely is it a physical gun problem that causes paint breakage. There are certain guns which are much harder on paint than other guns as far as breaking paint. The BT Delta happens to be one of those guns that can be very, very hard on paint. A lot of factors go into it. So cold weather we're having right now can be another tremendous factor in paint breakage. Paint does not hold up really well in cold weather. So unless you're shooting like specific cold weather paint. Another thing, this type of barrel, an Apex barrel or a flatline barrel in cold weather, again, is going to be something that causes paint breakage, because as the ball travels down the barrel, it's going to hit this rubber flap that's inside here. That rubber flap is going to put a backspin on that ball or affect the ball in some way to get it to spin and then curve, just like a flatline. Flatline doesn't use a rubber flap. A flatline uses the curvature of the barrel to create that spin. But again, you're putting extra stress on the ball to create some sort of change in the flight of the ball. So what we're doing to look at this gun and see why it might be breaking paint is I'm not really even going to look at the barrel. I'm going to clean the barrel out just because it is very, very, very uncommon, other than the reasons that we told you just a second ago, we talked about, that the barrel is breaking paint. The barrel can break paint because of the weather and because of the paint itself, whether it be too big, too small, or just too brittle. Well, I shouldn't say too small, rarely too small, too big for the bore or too brittle. So I'm not assuming that it's the barrel at this point that is causing this gun to break. It's a factor possibly, but it's not the reason. I'm pretty sure I know why, and this is very common on BT guns as far as what causes paint breakage, and I'll show you what that is in just a second, but we got to get the gun apart real quick. So for the BT, we're going to move this out this far. We do need to remove this little piece right there because we can't get the side of the gun off if we have that on there. Likes to get stuck. I'm going to take this off and this off. You can see that these guns are not terribly difficult to get apart and get into. Move that over there. Next thing we're going to do is we need to get this sandwich off of here. So I'm going to remove the grip frame off of here. I know the grip frame isn't what's causing the problem either, so I can just get it out of the way. When it comes to working on guns, you want to eliminate potential problems and just get them out of the way. So let's get our frame out of the way. We're going to put these screws to the side. Remember, these two screws are different lengths. The short one goes in the front, long one goes in the back. Let's move that over here. Now we can get the frame off. Now the frame screws are two separate pieces. So it has the left side of the screw and the right side of the screw. Woo! That's the left side of the screw right there. And the left side goes into the right side. So the right side of the screw looks like a nut on one side, but it actually has a little stem on it. And these pieces thread together like that. And that's what holds it in place right there. So there you go. All right, so now that that's off, we can pull that, and the gun was cocked back, so now it just decocked itself.
for a gun that supposedly was breaking a lot of paint, it's very clean. It's just got like the original grease and oil on it. I don't see really any paint breakage, so maybe the gun really wasn't breaking paint and the customer just decided they didn't want it. I don't know. It's tough to say at this point. You never can know. Never can tell. So next we're going to remove these 3 screws along the top here. One potato. 2, because this slides off, or I should say slides along the top of the body. And then we should be able to slide that right off of there. We'll just set that piece up towards the top for now. We've got our grip, which we're going to put up here to the top. Now we can flip this back over again, and then we can separate our halves off. I'm not going to pull these screws actually off of the gun or out of the half. I'm just going to leave them in this section of the gun.
Hey, can you just grab that gun for me?
So let's just back that up, and now I'm going to take this apart. Now remember, when I lift this half off of here, or the other half underneath drops away, this spring that is down inside there is under tension still right now. So it's going to want to shoot things out and move them all over the place. So I'm going to make sure that I'm holding the bottom up against this piece right here, and then I'm going to lift the top off so that it has less of a chance to just shoot away. I can just set it up to the top. You can see it's under tension right here. So now I can hold this part down and I can release the tension on the stock and move it over to the side. And now I'm going to come over to here, and this is what I want to show you guys as to one of the reasons that these guns particularly love to break paint, or what can be a reason that they do break paint. And this is the same problem you'll see in the Tippmann line, like the 98 Customs or the A5s, is their detent system that sits up here in the front. When the gun is in an uncocked position like it is right now, where the bolt is forward, the hammer's forward, the bolt's forward, it's just in a resting position. Like this is how you would store it in your bag. The detent assembly, which is right here, is being pushed down by the bolt coming forward. Move this out of the way real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me get this is the barrel adapter right here. This is what you screw your barrel into. The barrel doesn't actually screw into the gun. It screws into a little adapter that goes on the front of the gun. And this is our bolt right here. So our bolt attaches here. Depending on where you look, you see this is called the front bolt and the rear bolt, or you'll see the bolt and the hammer, or the bolt and the strike, or whatever you want to call it. This is our linkage arm that goes back and forth through here. So at rest right now, if the gun was in our bag, the bolt is forward, the hammer is forward because the spring is pushing it forward, but it's pushing our detent down. Okay, so it's the little arm of the detent, which I'll pull out of here, is being held down by the bolt. You can see the difference between this side and this side, how this side is flattened down and this side is sticking up. Well, these detents can be repurposed or flipped over and used. They've got like a double life to them. But this is the one thing right here that keeps the gun from double feeding. The ball rolls into from the other side, from the hopper, comes down in here. This assembly is there to keep one ball in the breech at a time. Not 2, not 3, not 4. It keeps one ball in there. But if this thing is so weak that it can't push or hold that one ball in place, the ball is going to slip right past it. When this is cocked back, or let's just pretend that the bolt is back right here and a ball can roll in, it can roll right past this detent because nothing is keeping it right here. If I flip this over, you can see how much higher the detent sticks up now, and it will hold one ball in place right there. But this side, that ball can just roll right on by, and you could get 3 or 4 balls in the breech, and then try to shoot them all at the same time, and it's just going to break paint over and over and over again. So how do you avoid this? Well, one, you could leave the gun cocked back, or be diligent on your maintenance and check your detent very regularly. If you're a kind of person who plays every once a month, maybe, you want to stock up on detents and change them every time you play, if you're going to leave your gun uncocked. The downside, or the other option, is cock the gun back and leave it in your bag cocked like that. But the downside to that is the spring tension of the mainspring could loosen over time, being compressed constantly. And then when you go to play with your gun, your velocity might be low. So, I mean, it's however you want to look at it. I think it's cheaper and easier to probably just keep extra detents and maybe get a couple of mainsprings, whatever it happens to be. But that's just how this works. It's the nature of the beast for these types of guns. So I'm going to flip that over, obviously, and that's going to solve, I think, will solve our chopping problem with this. And you know, there is other factors like we talked about: weather, coldness, ball type, bore sizing. All those things are a factor to chopping or breaking paint. But again, rarely is it the actual functioning of the gun moving back and forth. It can be, but it's not so much that. It's usually all the other little factors that go into that. So let's go ahead and put this back together. Let's button it back up, flip that around. Again, for a gun, like I said, that was sent in for breaking paint, not a lot of paint in here. So watch, see our detent right there? Watch what happens when I push the bolt forward. See how it folds that down? And now this is just how this gun's gonna sit. I'm probably gonna cock it back and leave it cocked once I put it all together. And that's how I'm gonna leave it. Because I'd rather the gun shoot a little low in velocity than just break paint all day long. At least you can go play with a low shooting gun. You can't play with a gun that just breaks paint all day long. All right, so now I've got this back together. I'm going to compress my spring and post down. I'm gonna hold on to it. Actually, I'll probably do it. I'll do it from this side. You guys can see that easier from there. I'm gonna lift up my body. I'm gonna lay it down on top here. Ooh, one thing I want to tell you guys, which we get questions all the time. This O-ring right here is just a bumper. It is not actually a sealing O-ring or anything. It sits just like that, or anywhere. It just flops around inside here. And when the hammer comes slamming back, this acts as a bumper between the hammer and the stock, the back plate of the stock right there. So it's okay that it's just flopping around in there. Don't worry about that. All right, so that's back together. I can tighten these down. I'm just gonna go around, and I'm not gonna tighten them. I'm just gonna put them in so that I can let go of the gun and then go back around and tighten it up. That way I don't have to hold on to it. Tight, 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 tight. All right, that's back together there. Let's just get the gun together. We can put this little cap thing that I pulled off earlier. Let's get our frame back on. Remember the frame, we're gonna flip this over. And we're going to put our two sides in that have the nut, and there's an outline shape of the nut right there. So this will fit right in to the nut side. And this is typically the right side of the gun that those go in. We can flip it back over, drop this in, and bring it down to the bottom. That one is getting stuck in there, a little stucky. So I'm going to take my little bit of a hammer with my soft end and just bring it down all the way. And now I can go ahead and snug this. A little soft-ended hammer is a great thing to have around. Not going to damage too many things with it. Put our ASA back on. Remember, long screw goes in the rear, short screw goes in the front. Line them up with your posts. Get that started right there. Tighten. Tighten. Now we can slide this back on. Bring that all the way back. Line that up there. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's the buzzer right there. It must mean it's 5 o'clock. We'll finish this one up anyway. Let's go ahead and put that one on there. That one on there. That one like that. All right, that's back on there. Last thing we have to put on is our faux magazine. And I'm just going to put that flush with the front. Put that down through there. And tighten this up. Now, this is where I would end this for a paint chopping problem with the gun. We didn't see any problems inside the gun. We weren't missing anything inside the gun. Our detent looked terrible inside the gun, so we flipped that over. That should solve that problem. And then there wasn't any paint breakage to clean up inside of there. And you can see when I move this, when I cock the gun back, you can see the bolt move back and forth. And then you can see the detent down inside there sticking up. And then the bolt goes right over the top of that and closes it off and just pushes it down. So I'm going to leave it cocked back like that. And that's it. Those are things to look for paint breakage on this gun. If you're breaking paint, check your detent. That is imperative right there. And then look at the other little things. There's also a bolt upgrade that you can get for these guns from Core. It's the anti-chop bolt. It's on a spring, so if it comes through and it encounters a paintball that is isn't all the way in there, it can help with not breaking that ball. But typically chopping is for other reasons: ball detent, cold weather, bad paint, or the wrong bore sizing, or barrels like this that really need a very strong, robust ball to work properly. All right, guys, that's it. Hope this helped. See you next time.